Linda Ronstadt, the iconic voice that helped define the rock genre, made the ultimate bet on her musical aspirations, sacrificing much along the way. Born in the sun-baked city of Tucson, Arizona, on July 15, 1946, Linda grew up in a household where music and ambition danced in the air. Her father, Gilbert Ronstadt, was not only a successful businessman, heading a thriving machinery company, but he also nurtured a deep passion for music. In those early days, Linda's talent blossomed under the warm Tucson sun, with her father's melodies often filling their home. Gilbert, a man of both notes and numbers, recognized the spark in Linda and supported her local performances. However, when she confided her dreams of chasing stardom in the bustling music scene of Los Angeles, a shadow of concern fell upon him. He knew all too well the pitfalls and heartaches that lay on the path to fame. The music industry was notorious for its unforgiving nature, and the protective father fretted over his daughter's future in such a volatile world. Despite his fears, Gilbert's love for Linda and his belief in her talent won out. In a poignant farewell that would mark the beginning of her legendary journey, he presented her with an invaluable gift, a cherished Martin guitar that had been his loyal companion through many songs. As he handed over the instrument, he imparted a piece of wisdom that was both practical and symbolic. Now that you own your guitar, you will never go hungry. Linda took this advice to heart, carrying the guitar and her father's words with her as she set out for Los Angeles in 1965. It wasn't just a guitar, it was her father's blessing, a token of faith that she clung to through the trials and tribulations that awaited her in the world of rock and roll. Her journey into the world of music kicked off when she was just 14 years old. She teamed up with her brother and sister to form a folk trio. They played their heartfelt tunes in local coffee shops, at college parties, and wherever people would listen. But Linda's heart yearned to mix the gentle sounds of folk music with the upbeat vibes of rock and roll. So she made a big decision. She left the University of Arizona and set her sights on Los Angeles, ready to chase her childhood dream. Once she arrived in LA, Linda bumped into an old buddy from back home, Bobby Kimmel. Bobby and his friend Kenny Edwards were busy making music, crafting folk songs with a twist. They invited Linda to join them, and just like that, the Stone Ponies were born. The band worked hard and put out 3 albums pretty fast. They were doing okay, but then they hit the jackpot with a catchy tune called Different Drum, and suddenly, everyone knew who they were. Even though she was still singing with the Stone Ponies, Linda started to work on her own albums. Her very first solo project was called Hand Sewn, Homegrown, and it was special because it was the first time a woman had made an album like that. It was like country music, but fresh and new. Linda wasn't totally happy with her next album, Silk Purse, but it did have one song that got her noticed at the Grammy Awards. Then, in 1974, everything changed. She released an album called Heart Like a Wheel, and boy, did it take off. It zoomed all the way to #1 on the charts, and she had 2 hit songs that everyone loved, You're No Good and When Will I Be Loved. This album didn't just make her a star, it won her a Grammy too. It was her big moment and she was flying high on the music charts.
Very nice. Oh, you're always terrific. Emmylou Harris is on this too, right?
She is indeed.
Yeah. That fun?
It was fun, but I was kind of distracted when I was singing.
She really made her mark in 1977 with her album called Simple Dreams. It was a huge deal. This album was one of the top ones of the whole 1970s. It had 2 really popular songs that a lot of people loved. Her version of Blue Bayou by Roy Orbison and It's So Easy by Buddy Holly. Linda's Simple Dreams album was so good that it even jumped ahead of Fleetwood Mac's Rumors on the music charts, which was a big deal because everyone was listening to Rumors at that time. People especially can't forget how Linda sang Blue Bayou. Her strong voice and the feeling she put into it made it super special. It's one of those songs that when you hear it, you know it's Linda Ronstadt. By the time she stopped making music in 2013, Linda had won a whole bunch of awards, 11 Grammys, an Emmy, 3 American Music Awards, and lots more. Even though she loved music, there was a part of her that thought maybe her dad was right when he didn't want her to become a professional singer. She once said that being on the road, traveling all the time to perform, can make you feel really alone. She talked about a kind of loneliness that's hard to explain, the kind you feel even when you're surrounded by people. She thought this might be why she never got married, because of that feeling she couldn't shake off, even with all the success and fame she had. At the top of her game, Linda Ronstadt was filling up big concert venues. But even with the cheering crowds, she felt lonely. She also felt let down because the songs she was singing as an adult didn't match up to the beautiful ones she grew up with. Her dad, Gilbert, felt the same. He wasn't really into her music, even though he didn't openly criticize it. She once said that all he remarked was that the music wasn't for him. Despite her success, she had a strong desire to sing Mexican music, a genre that was not popular globally at the time. She faced a lot of pushback, but she didn't give up. In 1987, she performed with a mariachi band on The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson. This performance led to her album Canciones de mi Padre, which became a huge hit, selling over 2 million copies. Linda's personal life was as full of ups and downs as her professional one. She believed she might have given up the chance for true happiness for the spotlight. She once told the Washington Post that she wasn't cut out for marriage. Her first romance was with John Boylan, an award-winning producer who later became her manager. They were happy until they moved in together, and then things fell apart. Next, she dated American singer J.D. Souther. They made music together, like the song Faithless Love, and even after they broke up in 1972, they stayed friends. Perhaps her most talked about relationship was with Jerry Brown, who was the governor of California. People said he was different around her, more relaxed and funny. They met at a cafe when he was Secretary of State, and their relationship was intense but ended because their lives were too different.
Few singers are better than Linda Ronstadt.
Known as the First Lady of Rock, she sold more than 100 million albums.
After Jerry, Linda dated other well-known men like Albert Brooks, Bill Murray, and Aaron Neville, but she never married. Instead, she became a mom, adopting 2 kids in the early 90s. Alongside relationship challenges, she also faced health issues. She was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease in the early 2000s. At first, she could still perform, but by 2009, her condition worsened, affecting her singing and her ability to move. By 2013, she had to stop singing because, by her own admission, it was more like yelling, and it wasn't fun anymore. She said that she can still imagine music in her head, but it doesn't come out right when she tries to sing. Despite the silence, her legacy of music and her brave spirit continue to inspire. However, she isn't letting the tough stuff get her down. She's had a great life, and now she's pretty happy because she doesn't have to do the thing she likes the least, performing on stage. Linda once shared that she never really liked performing. She preferred singing at home with her friends and family. That was her happy place. Recording music was also something she loved, but those days are behind her now. Even in a music world full of guys, Linda made a name for herself. In fact, Time magazine once said she was one of the biggest solo rock stars out there. By the end of the 1970s, Linda was not just the top solo woman in rock and pop music, but she was also making more money than any of them. In 1978 alone, she raked in over $17 million from her albums. She's got 6 albums that reached platinum status and loads of hit singles. Today, Linda's got an impressive fortune of $130 million. Now at 76, Linda is enjoying the golden years with her kids and loved ones, cozy in her home in Tucson. If you enjoyed this story, go ahead and check out more videos about the fabulous stars from back in the day. Thanks for listening.
Her latest album is a departure from all of her other works. Let me show you what we have here. It's entitled What's New? And we're going to listen now to a sample of the album.
I loved singing with my family. We didn't have to talk politics that way. So we wouldn't talk, we'd sing.
In her new book, Linda also includes recipes of her favorite Mexican foods from childhood.